Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Amateur Hour. That's where we interview amateur fighters who are just starting out their careers or maybe getting a little bit closer to their pro and sometimes even after their pro debuts. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing most importantly, Fight Site Discord member,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
who also happens to be a undefeated uh, Muay Thai fighter. Abu Khawaja, you are fighting at super middleweight this weekend. You fight out of MK Muay Thai in Fairlawn, New Jersey. I can't wait to talk to you about this. First of all, how you doing this fine evening?
I'm good. I'm good. This is the first fight week where I actually feel really good. Usually I feel pretty drained.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just got to make weight tomorrow. That's always unpleasant. So just kind of mentally dealing with that. I know you know about it. I remember your weight stories.
I don't
But
want to talk about it.
yeah, yeah. So just got to do that, weigh in, hydrate proper, and then fight Friday night, man. Should be fun.
Yes, it will. So before we get into a little bit more details surrounding this fight, let's talk about, how you got here in the first place. Let's talk about your history. How did you find Muay Thai in the first place? What made you go for Muay Thai as opposed to, I guess, the more traditional American situation, which is that I'm going to be an MMA fighter. So talk to me about that. How did you get to Muay Thai in the first place? Tell me
Yeah.
about your background.
So I'm 25 now. When I was 19, I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym actually. Like I'm actually like a four stripe blue belt in jiu-jitsu. It's pretty unknown. And I trained there for a little bit. I always knew like when I walked into the gym, like I'm always like a pretty goal oriented person. I just
Mm-hmm.
get like into stuff. I just knew I wanted to fight. Um, so yeah, I trained jiu. I didn't even know how I would get there. I just trained jujitsu free. I just had no idea. I was like looking at striking gyms in the area. I didn't really know where to go, but I was still training jujitsu. I was competing in jujitsu at like white and blue belt, like
Mm-hmm.
local competitions. And then after a year, some guy was like, dude, you gotta come to this gym. Like I'm friends with the owner. He's good stuff. They have so many fighters, this, that, and that was MK Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I went there and I just never looked back. It's been a good time. Kind of developed there from scratch. My favorite part about that environment is how open the guys are. The head coaches, Augie, Ray, Haran, um, and and how like I was never like penciled into one style. And yeah, so then I trained jujitsu and Muay Thai at the same time. Never like MMA. I wrestled a little too. Changed schools to train more jujitsu, and then I was kind of like in between. And then I was like, if I want to fight MMA, which is the goal, I think fighting Muay Thai first would be a good transition versus competing in jujitsu, right? And given the resource I had, I'd rather like it was easier to get good like striking training versus jujitsu training. And I'm also like a bit of a like they call me the Ronin at the gym because I train alone on my own a lot. And it's easier for me to shadow box than it is to shadow wrestle or shadow roll, really. So yeah, I did that. I fought. It took me a while to fight because of COVID and pretty bad injuries, but yeah, I had fought. Like my first fight technically was like 2 years ago, and then yeah, just kind of been fighting since, staying active. 10 fights later, or I won my first title after it was this past summer, so I think it was 8 fights. For a promotion called Freedom Fighters, which is super cool. They're like all over the country. So when they say national champion, it kind of feels right versus like every like has champions every promotion. They're doing a show in Lumpini next month too. It's pretty crazy. And then I fought for the Warriors Cup belt. And I actually fought for it in September, no, August. August I drew. I fought for it a weight class up at 175. And then in October I fought at 168 and won it. They just signed to one championship, so they're having a big tournament. Road to one, so like a bunch of 135ers are competing for one championship contracts. So I like to say like I'm fighting for the biggest promotions in the country. I like the amateur, like pro level.
Mm-hmm.
It was super nice for Muay Thai, and then eventually like so like the goal was to go to MMA like last year or two, like yeah, pretty much last year. I was 5-0, and then I was like, damn, I kind of want a title in Muay Thai before I go. And so then I got two, and then they announced the WBC will be sanctioning Muay Thai fights. So there's WBC belts and all that. And for me, like some random stuff would just get me out of bed and go train. And like the WBC strap, even at the amateur level, was like, that's it for me. Like that's plenty. And so hopefully almost there. Just trying to lock it up and win this fight Friday and see where we're at.
Well, that that's a really interesting. So your goal was, first of all, I didn't even know you were blue belt in jiu-jitsu. That's
Yeah.
interesting. So, how often are you cross training now at the moment with your focus really, really heavily on Muay Thai?
Before so off camp. So right. right now, this fight, I've really locked in. Like I haven't really rolled in like 7 weeks probably,
Hmm.
and I miss it so much, man. Like I know I told you I'd come up to Brooklyn, and I gotta come up after this fight. But yeah, I would double up. Like I always would just double up the training. So I would roll and then train Muay Thai, or I'd roll on days where like I couldn't get pad work or sparring. I'd roll and then shadow box like 20 rounds, 30 rounds after.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, my whole like solution to that problem was like add more sessions, not like do separate ones. And then just being really like intent. Like if I had to do separate ones, like maybe like I don't know, injured or something, it can't like punch. Like I've had hand injuries and stuff. Like all right, let's focus on jujitsu. Let's have a very specific game we want to work on, specific like positions. Like I'm a scrambler, like it's pretty like prototypical like MMA style. So kind of just like having a good guard. Like maybe I throw a kick and I get taken down. It's like, all right, well, we got to get back up. So like it's very specific. Of course we'll find out how good it is when I fight MMA, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about your style a little bit within Muay Thai. Talk to me about, what you try to tend to accomplish when you're fighting, and also how you develop that style, why you develop that style.
So I pretty much took like everything like high level strikers when I started striking did. So at the time it was like Adesanya was just finishing his glory run.
Mm-hmm.
I think Volkanovski like just entered the UFC, but he wasn't there yet, or he might have been fighting for like a title or something. He was getting there, and so like I copied like them, Dan Hooker, like that system, that City Kickbox system, and then
Mm-hmm.
also coaches have like it's like a traditional Thai style, but like with the awareness that you're not gonna fight like Thais that go slow the first 2 rounds. Like you might fight a guy like, and I have that just come out just bum rushing you, trying to knock you out. So I say my style is very tactical. Like I call myself like a tactician. Like
Mm-hmm.
I take my time. I'm like boring, and I mean that like in a compliment. Like I'll start like I've lost like most of my first rounds just getting reads, and once I get those, then I can start kind of implementing offense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I feel I'm very like diverse in my striking. I have like if you need me to hunt the body, if you need me to kick, knee, punch, elbow, like I can. I just once I find the right situation for it, and I can like slot almost like a playbook. Like once I find the right play for it, like I can go. And it's a really hard style to develop, I think. And I think that I developed it just by like being like a everyone says they're a student, but really being a student and like really like learning from everyone and taking like little things and then watching all-time great fighters, like in all sports, because the things that a world-class boxer does, or not, sorry, not even world-class, like a pound for pound great, like a Bernard Hopkins or Floyd Mayweather, and then like someone like Samart, and then in Muay Thai, even like Giorgio Petrosian, like you can draw like parallels between them. And so like I always say like at that like highest level there's a standard of what these guys do. That's how they win so many fights for so long. So I just try to do that. A lot of that's just being patient, having good footwork, having like the ability to like slow the pace down of a fight. And then once you do that, like going off of your options. Like maybe like I'm fighting a kicker and I don't know that, but like 2 minutes in, like he's just looking for kicks, he's feinting kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like I have to be cognizant that maybe he's faking something, but like I know he's a kicker. Like I fought like a heavy puncher. I was like, one time I actually fought a guy who fought just like me, just like stance switching, like very tactical. And I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna clinch him because I know like he probably can't. Like I have grappling experience, so just like kind of having the game plans. I mean, it's easier at this level too because there's more film on these guys,
Mm-hmm.
so I can find that film and kind of slot in my advantages to where I think they're weak. But yeah, I would say I'm very tactical with the way I fight. And then you guys help tremendously with that too at the fight site. You guys are out like amazing.
Well, so it sounds a lot like you kind of you've developed enough skills to be able to kind of like fight. I wouldn't say all terrain, but essentially it sounds like you're trying to develop into an all terrain fighter that can fight in multiple different ranges and with different tactics and strategies involved.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's funny you say that because Andre Ward's one of my favorite fighters, and he used to be called the All Terrain Fighter,
Mm-hmm.
like at his pro debut and stuff before he changed it. And yeah, I would definitely call myself an All Terrain Fighter. I do have my crazy moments though. Like I like throwing my spin and stuff. And the spin elbow in like my last 4 or 5 fights. Like I like throwing just spinning back kicks. I don't know, man. I just yeah. I just like
Get
doing
flashy with it.
whatever I need to do to win, I'll do. Like if you need me to be boring and fight on the outside, jabbing, whatever.
Mhm.
Like I'll do. I just want to win. That's it. Like
So let's talk a little bit more about your training because you mentioned how you consider yourself or you're called a bit of a Ronin and you kind of like to do things on your own. But when you are, I guess, working with the guys in the gym, talk to me about the training room. It's a Muay Thai gym, but you mentioned they obviously have jiu-jitsu and MMA and all these things combined. So what is the separation? How do who's involved with that separation? Um, and I guess how are those classes, for lack of a better term, run?
yeah, so I do classes. I think like 2, 3 times a week sparring. It's a grind. Like
Mhm.
it's brutal, like conditioning wise. Because of like the class structure, I think that you need a little more independence when you want to work on stuff. So like for me,
Mhm.
like I come to when I go to a class, like I have stuff I want to work, even if it's super basic. Like I'm just gonna work my jab the whole time. I'm gonna work my push kick. I'm just gonna check kicks. But no, it's like a grind. Like Mondays with Ray or freaking we warm up for 20. We've had like high level fighters come to like a Monday class and just like want to quit after the warm ups or like they can't get through it. It's just like a lot of like body weight stuff, push ups, sit ups, jump rope, shadow boxing with weights. And then we'll do pad work. Pad work's usually like 5, 6 rounds of 3 minutes, sometimes 30-second rest always. And then we'll do like a burnout. And then like you'll hold pads for the other person. We'll do some drilling. It's pretty fundamental. Like most gyms are probably doing it, but I think where it's different is Ray himself was a high level fighter. Augie himself coached high level fighters. He was also a fighter himself. And they fought back then when like dude, they didn't have weight classes. They just showed up and fought. Like they just so yeah, and Augie of course is like big in Aaron's development as a striker. And so he has kind of has an eye for it. The guy watches film all day. Um and so yeah, and then we spar and then we go home. That's it's kind of it's pretty standard, but I think that the difference is just like the heavy push on conditioning, kind of like being like I always say, like the repetitions start when you're tired. So once we get tired, it's like all right, now we have to get the reps right. Like so that's like a big focus. And then my solo training sessions, man. Like these days, I used to just shadow box kind of on my own, like working different things. But I've been doing a lot of stuff with Coach Barry Robinson or for him, and he's got a lot of good stuff like just drills, just basic drills, working power, like working my hand position, working walking right, checking left, walking back. It's super fundamental stuff.
Man, you mentioned that you had some hand injuries. Talk to me a little bit about that and also kind of what you've done to address those issues going forward.
Yeah, so this was a while back, but I tore like a band in my hand here, the sagittal band
Hmm.
it's called. Um, it doesn't really come up that much. But before fights, I just have to double check with the gloves. One time, I think in August, I kind of got into it, but backstage before my fight because they gave me gloves that were just like too small and
Mm.
they were like too tight. I don't want to say the company name or anything, put myself in bad raps, but yeah. And so I complained about it because they had two sets of gloves. They have separate gloves for title fights, and the other ones were fine. And they tried to get me to fight in those, and my hand started swelling like in the glove, and I was like, I feel it swelling, like I'm not gonna fight. I was just like, I'm not gonna fight. I just pulled that card. I was like, of course I'm gonna fight, but I was like, I'm not fighting. Like, and eventually, like with being in like persistent enough, they also fighting someone who was traveling like to the
Hmm.
air fight. They were just like, yeah, like give him the other gloves. It's fine. So it's okay now. I just gotta just be careful. Just make sure the gloves fit right and wrap my hands well. And yeah, it's good now. It's part of
Well,
the game.
speaking of your upcoming fight, which is like you said this weekend, what kind of stuff are you particularly focused on for this fight? Obviously, not giving away a game plan or anything like that, but talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm fighting a guy named Will McCutcheon. He fights out of forgot the gym name. I think it's in Vermont. He's 9-2, so he's no slouch record
Hmm.
wise. He fought at the qualifiers. The American Muay Thai scene is a little smaller, but qualifiers is like a yearly tournament in March. The winners get to compete for like the USA national team and like kind of go around the country. I'm sorry, the world and fight in different like Muay Thai tournaments against different countries. It's like a pathway to the Olympics eventually because Muay Thai got like approved for the Olympics. So he fought at that tournament. So and that was last year was invite only, so he had to be good enough
Hmm.
to get in. So yeah, I've watched film on him. I think the key is just being being slow, just not like being like just taking my time. It's the one fight I had that was a draw. I rushed way too much. Like I was looking for headshots, like head hunting, versus kind of just slowing down, just getting my reads, like I said, like being tactical, being boring. Like it's okay if like sure, like we want to entertain everyone watching, but like I also want to win. I also want to not take damage, and I also want to take shots that I know are gonna hit, right? So it's gonna be an interesting one because he has a similar style to the guy I drew, which is like heavy low kicks, heavy punches, very traditional, decent clinch. Um, and yeah, like I'm kind of excited to show my development like against that style.
Hmm. What are your what would you say are your best physical attributes that have lent yourself to the style that you've cultivated?
Um, I think I think the best I think I have like slightly better vision than the average person. Not like physically, I have like horrible eyes,
Fight
like
vision.
wearing glass. Yeah, fight vision. Like I don't know what it is, but I see things like right before they happen. Like I like, and I don't know if it's because I'm fainting a lot or moving a lot, but it's very like it's a weird thing where like I'll see like even like when I'm watching fights, you know, he's about to throw something. I'm not like there's no way to qualify that though. But other than that, like I've gotten pretty athletic, like pretty quick with my speed. Like strength and conditioning has been helping a lot. I'm very like deceptively explosive. I'm like 0 to 100 and back to zero. Like I can kind of lull guys in and then explode and go.
Hmm.
And I've got good conditioning too.
Well, the conditioning is definitely coming from those warm up sessions that alone, it seems like.
Yeah, they're brutal, man. I like I get anxious before some training days. It's just
How hard are your sparring sessions in the gym as well? And what kind of structure do they have to the sparring sessions?
so we don't really spar hard.
Hmm.
Our kind of mindset is like just like strict volume. Actually, we don't spar hard to the head. To
Right.
because body and legs is all you can eat. Like that's what we say. Like if but like most guys won't blast you unless like you blast them first. And sometimes like if a pro drops in or like a high level amateur, like it'll get more intense, but usually it's pretty controlled. Like 90% of the time it's controlled. Drills are like pretty varied depending on where we are, who's fighting. It's usually just fundamental drills, just like sharpening the basics. And yeah, like our big philosophy is like there's not really a need to spar hard. Like when you think about it, like you can get shot in training. Like if you get hit hard enough, like it's like getting shot, like change your life. So that's like a big like kind of thing we preach is just like just get a lot of volume of training, like sparring, get a lot of volume of sparring rather, where like we can push the conditioning and like if you do enough rounds of sparring, you'll get tired anyway, and then you can work those techniques.
Hmm.
But if you get dropped by a body shot, it was on you. Like you should have defended better.
Well, speaking of the fight itself a little bit, talk to me about your weight cut and your new nutritionist that you've been working with and how that's made that a little bit easier. In general, have you struggled with weight cuts in the past at all? And if not, tell me how it's gotten easier with the nutritionist.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much like the prototypical meathead, I guess. Before um like I remember my first fight, like I was like running the morning of like 6 minute trying to run 6 minute miles, like dying. And then I tried to do my first title fight. I had a horrible weight cut too. Actually, I never really told anyone. But like before, I like just didn't have my legs, and I was like, all right, well, I have to fight anyway.
Hmm.
And so I worked with Nicole Eli is her name. She used to work for the UFC. She's really good. She's been helping out a lot. I used her for my fight at 175, which wasn't that bad because it was just up a weight class. I had like 4 pounds to cut. And then again at 168, yeah, she's so good. My whole thing is like at this level, you kind of have to invest in yourself and get people who know what they're doing. Like I can't do it all. Like I can't fight, figure out my diet. I can't like it's just too much. Like I can't figure out my strength and conditioning. Like you kind of have to like find different masters and give them handoff and just kind of trust them. But yeah, so this weight cut is going smooth. Just, I do baths now. I don't do saunas. I think saunas are kind of like hard on my body for me.
Hmm.
And bath, like you don't feel like you're sweating, but it's still going. And then yeah, we rehydrate. I just follow orders, man. Whatever she says, I do. Like I don't ask questions.
Do you have any specific way that you like to or that she intends to have you rehydrate for this fight?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's on a timer. I don't want to give her secrets out, but yeah, it's on a timer. Like we
Interesting.
have like you should definitely work with her if you fight again, man. You don't have to go through
Ah,
that way.
you got to convince the wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your I always ask this. I want to start asking this whenever, but like what's your favorite meal slash food to post fight?
Dude, post fight, there's this place, I don't know, it might be in this too. It's called Duck Donuts. I don't know, but it's just like a fancy donut place. I get a dozen. I usually eat them all
That's my
like
man.
throughout the day. Yeah, and then I just pass out, and then I'm like, all right, well that was horrible. And then like I'll get cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory, just straight like sugar. Cheesecake Factory is good stuff, man.
I ate the I went to Costco and bought one of those 18-inch cheesecakes. Ate
Yeah.
the whole thing myself.
Oh my god, dude, that sounds amazing. Right?
6,000 calories
Yeah,
plus.
hell yeah. Well deserved. You work hard,
Oh,
man. You work
dude,
hard.
that was the best. That was the best. That was at the first fight. So let me ask you about your, your future because you're going for this is going to be your 11th Muay Thai fight. You said you want to go for the WBC belt. Is this the kind of thing that you would keep going until you just don't anymore, or like you have a set time frame of like, it's already at the point where I got to transition to MMA. Of
Yeah, I like the more I think of it, like it's like I am getting older. I'm 25. It's not like old in fight years, but
course.
it's at some point you gotta make the transition. Especially like the amateur Muay Thai scene's weird is where like the qualifiers tournament I talked about like next month. It's a pro am tournament. Pros can fight in it too. Like
Oh,
and I couldn't fight in it because like I don't have enough fights. You need 15 fights as an amateur or a winning record as a pro. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to fight 5 more times Muay Thai. I could do a couple of tournaments, whatever, but I'm big on like accomplishments, and
mhm.
the WBC is like
It
it
sounds
sounds
nice.
yeah, it sounds nice, and you actually need 10 wins to qualify for that. So
Ah,
last fight I asked for, and they were like, you need 10 wins. So the plan is get this win and then try to get my way there. And then after that, yeah, man, MMA. If the right opportunity for Muay Thai comes up, the right place, like fighting around the world would be cool. Like the one promotion, Freedom Fighters.
mhm.
The owner or like the head promoter Rami is like one of the coolest people ever, and he's really helping develop the scene. I think even developing the Muay Thai scene helps for the MMA scene. Like it
Of
just
course.
more talent. Like MMA guys need people to spar with. They need high level strikers. Maybe these guys want to transition.
MMA
And
fighters need to learn how to
the
strike in the
world.
first place.
Yeah, exactly. So like he's done a show in Jordan. He's done a show in um I forgot where the other one was, but he does them in New York, and then he's doing one, and he's the first foreign promotion to do it in Lumpini, like in
Wow.
Thailand, like in a stadium, and it's like cool. And they do like straight Thai rules now, so it's 3 minute rounds, 2 minute rests, 5 rounds for title fights. So like
That's
pro rule.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and so I don't know, man. I try to just live life. I have my goals, but like I can't plan too far ahead. I'm gonna win this fight, see if I get the WBC strap, decide. Then I do miss jujitsu though. I miss rolling. I miss wrestling.
Listen, we definitely have to roll soon.
I'm coming.
No question. Like we definitely need to. Plus, like you can give some of the guys work. I'll tell them that. Listen, we got a Muay Thai fighter with 10 with 10 wins, multiple belts. I'm gonna tell the coach to send every fighter there to get their sparring in with you. Don't worry about that.
Of course,
Uh, so I have to ask. I mean, it feels like it'd be a missed opportunity to ask this question. How the hell did you end up with the fight site?
so okay, so I have to. I just won. I was thinking about this a lot because this is kind of like a big like change in my development and training. Is like
Mhm.
I had 5 wins. I won a pretty big tournament. It was like the novice division, but I fought 4 times in a weekend. I was 5-0 last year. Had a shin injury, and I was like, damn, like my last fight was really close, and it was
Mhm.
like I have all this knowledge about fighting, and like of course I was reading the fight site at the time, whatever. I was like, but I need to like specialize it to me, like, and I was taking more classes and stuff, and my training was a little less like it was a little more like kind of I want to say regular. Like most people just take classes, like
Mhm.
that's it, like they'll spar. And I was like, I need to like specialize my training. I also need to learn more about fighting in general and like the tactics, like what makes good fighters great. So I don't even know how I found the content. I just found it for maybe on like Reddit or something or Twitter. And then yeah, I just dug in the rabbit hole. I was like, these guys think just like me. Like they're nerdy about fighting. Like everyone I see in the gym is such a meathead. Like you can act like this. Like you can think about fighting like this. Like you can think that Jose Aldo is like one of the greatest fighters of all time and not be wrong. Like hell yeah, like he is. Just like the more like because you go to a gym and you say stuff and people are just like kind of their coaches and their coaches all grew up with that like older school mentality a lot of times. So it's kind of exhausting where it's like, oh, you got to run hard, you got to train hard, this that. And so yeah, between you guys and a couple other people I met, I was like, damn, like I can think about fighting like almost like super tactically, like and then super like from a like I guess yeah, like a tactical perspective where it's like, okay, like I don't have to be one style. Like I don't have to just be a hard puncher or a hard kicker. Like and there's benefits and downfalls to that, and kind of thinking like, okay, like some guys have diverse skill sets and it works for them. Some guys have very specific skill sets and it works for them. I was like, all right, well, what about me? Like, what do I want to do? And so like, the fight side definitely helped me kind of like the article is just like just giving me like a new perspective on fighting, which I had, but like didn't have to that level, and also kind of ignored because like people around me at different gyms, like I'm not calling anyone specifically out,
Of
like just
course.
different, like, yeah, like, nah, like, dude, like you gotta, your coach has to be a former fighter or you this or that. Like, I was like, no, like it doesn't work like that. Like, so yeah, from there, just like following the content, talking to the guys, just like, yeah, learning about fighting and making friends there. It's a cool environment. It's a different view than the average gym, I guess. Like you've been to gyms, they've got their crazies in there, but like everyone in the fight side, like especially like Ed Tuman, like all those guys are geniuses. Fino's a genius. Like all those guys are so smart. You're
Well,
just well, like your analysis is crazy for jujitsu.
appreciate it. That's we're glad to have you, obviously.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
so before we, wrap this up, obviously I want you to shout out everybody and anybody you'd like to, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, oh my God, there's so many people. So shout out to, I guess, first, the guys at MK, Coach Augie, who had a huge win with Aaron this past weekend. Ginormous. It's something we've all known for like half a decade. Like when I started training there, Aaron was taking like I remember her taking the Friday class, like, and then like eventually she got higher level and she started doing her own thing with Augie, and yeah, so she's like, shout out to them. Augie especially, he's like the most humble coach ever. Like he's just super open to ideas. Shout out to Coach Ray. Ray is like the reminder that like, yeah, you could be open to ideas, but you gotta be fit. You gotta be fundamentally sound. And yeah, you just gotta be fit. Like you just gotta be fit, strong, and composed. And then shout out to Coach Iran. He was one of the other guys like in the same vein as you guys at the fight site, where it's like, oh, I could talk about footwork with this guy. Like we don't have to even talk about like punches. Like we could just talk about setups. And him, Coach Barry Robinson, of course, a big influence on my game. Shout out to Matt, bro. Matt and me have been talking on Facebook for a long time. I don't use Facebook, but what I do is to talk to Matt, and
That's the boy.
he's helped my game a lot too, like an astounding amount. And dude, when he makes his pro debut, like
I can't wait.
it's gonna be shocking. Like it's like the guy who likes violence, like to like a serial killer, almost like very calculated. Like it's gonna be crazy. And then shout out to Melissa Prido for strength and conditioning, Nicole Alaya for my diet. Um, I don't want to keep going, man. I shout out to Big Dave Neath for everything else. And then yeah, I don't want to keep going. I'm gonna forget someone. Feelings are gonna get. And shout out to the fight site, man. Right there.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're representing as best as we can.
Of course.
Look at that. Look at that.
How
Look at that. Look at
Jose
the
all,
boy. Look at the boy, Jose. Look at Jose.
and he's like a perfect example of that, where like he was a low kicker and then he completely reinvented himself to be a boxer, right? Like he's just outstanding.
Best jab and best boxing in MMA history. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
well, thank you again for joining me, Abu. Obviously can't wait to see you win again. Well, it'll be hopefully I'll actually, you got to have someone record this fight because so we can all watch it together.
Yeah, yeah. I posted a live stream. I'll probably have it more on Instagram, and I'll send you
Mhm.
my old fight if you want to watch them. And it's a
I
crazy
do.
progression.
I do. I really would want to. So send them to me because I definitely want to watch them. I got plenty of time tonight, and I'm mostly just prepping for another interview anyway. So,
Hell yeah.
well, thank you again. Make sure that you go and follow Abu on. Do you want people to follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Instagram, Abu Khawaja, ABUKHAWAJA. Twitter, I don't use as much. I got to figure it out. It's Abu K47. And yeah, that's yeah.
Well, go follow him. Support your boy. Make sure that you catch his fight if you can on the live stream, which I'm sure you'll share on your social media accounts. And if you can't, don't worry. We'll make sure that you find a way to support him and watch those fights. Thank you all for joining me, Abu. It's been a pleasure, and have a
Thank
great night. And good luck on
you.
the fight. Well, more
Yep.
to your opponent. Good luck for you. Just keep doing your thing,
Yeah, right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
dude. Anytime. And